What's up? You guys are in for a treat today. We're gonna make fat bombs, specifically chocolate fat bombs, and they are so good, they will knock your socks off. So the reason for this is because a lot of people struggle to get enough fat in their ketogenic diets because they tend to eat a lot of protein plus fat combos, aka animal products. So a lot of people base their ketogenic diets around, beef, bacon, eggs, things like that, and they tend to notice that all that fat is coming hand in hand with protein. So they take a step back at the end of the day and look at their macros and they say, wait a minute, I'm really high on protein and I'm not high enough on fats. So this is a good way to kind of work fats into your diet without that tag along of protein. So quick disclaimer, I hate recipes. I never give out recipes because I think it's kind of a crutch. I think it's tedious. And at the end of the day, I'm a huge believer in people just learning how to cook on the fly and throw stuff together and see what tastes good and what they like. That being said, we'll give some general structure here because this is, something that is really tasty. So let's get right into this. The major ingredients are going to be coconut oil, MCT oil. Now you don't have to use a combination. If you don't want to use MCT oil, you can definitely just use coconut oil, but I don't recommend it. I think MCT oil is a far superior product to coconut oil, but we're going to use them in combination here. Then as a little bit of flavor, we're going to throw in some grass-fed butter, which is sitting right here. So I've already got the coconut oil and the MCT oil in there, and we're going to go with the amounts in a second. We're also going to use a natural non-caloric sweetener. I'm using stevia. You can also use monk fruit, and you can use even like erythritol, that's a sugar alcohol. A lot of times stevia is cut 50-50 with erythritol. You can use that. I don't recommend it. I said best case use pure stevia or pure monk fruit. But half and half erythritol and stevia is okay too. And then we're going to use just raw cocoa powder, not raw, but just regular cocoa powder. And then a pinch of salt. And I'll tell you how to make these with cinnamon later. So getting right into this, we'll start with how much oils you should be using. So I do about 5 tablespoons of coconut oil and 5 tablespoons of MCT oil, and then about 1 tablespoon of butter just for the flavor. And you're basically just going to put it all in there. As you can see, the MCT is liquid, the coconut oil is not. And so we want to really mix those up. We're going to toss the butter in. Ideally, the butter should probably have been microwaved, but I'm a rebel, so I'm just going to wing it and see if I can get it to dissolve in there. So I'm going to get that mixed up really well. And then the general rule is you're going to want to use about half as many tablespoons of cocoa as you do oil. So just play around with that. Some people probably like it more chocolatey than others and vice versa. So just give that a try and see what you like. All right, so we got that all in. Now we're just going to kind of keep stirring this. You want to get this really well stirred. And then whenever you want, you're going to add in your natural sweetener. Now the key here, guys, I'm not going to give you an amount on this. And the reason is because whether you're using monk fruit or stevia or a stevia erythritol combo, it's all going to be different. Whether you're using granulated stevia or liquid stevia, it's all going to be different. So this is going to be something you're going to have to add kind of to taste. So try this. You add this at the very end and just add a little by little and keep tasting it. And when it gets to the sweetness that you desire, cut it off there. So that's fine. So I'm going to let you kind of experiment there. But anyway, so stirring this, and then you're going to want to just go ahead and just a touch of salt in there to bring out that chocolate flavor. Salt plus chocolate always tastes phenomenal. Plus, you need a little bit more salt on a ketogenic diet than the average person, so it's not going to hurt you. A little bit more in there. Okay, so now this is where things get interesting, okay? So now it's a nice liquidy consistency. Now what's interesting here is that coconut oil is going to be solid in the mid 70 degrees, okay? So I think it's 76 degrees when it becomes liquid and solid. That's kind of the breaking point. MCT oil, on the other hand, is liquid at room temperature. It actually only solidifies at, I think it's 28 degrees. So it's actually below the point of freezing. Now, this is important because depending on what your ratio is, or if you just use coconut, depends on what you're going to do next, okay? So if you just use coconut oil and you do not use MCT oil, this is going to go in the refrigerator, okay? Now, if you use a 50-50 MCT oil and coconut oil, this is going to go in the freezer, okay? If you use just MCT oil, it's definitely going to go in the freezer, and you might actually have a hard time getting it to solidify. So I would say you really want to use, you can't really just use MCT. You can, but for simplicity, use a little bit of coconut always, just because it's going to help it get solid at a higher temperature. So this is all stirred up. What's basically going to happen now is I'm going to either put it in the freezer or the refrigerator, depending on what I used. And every 5 minutes, I'm going to take it out and stir it. What you're going to see is the outside is going to start hardening, and you want to scrape off the outside and make sure this is a nice kind of slowly and steadily solidifying thing. You don't want the edges to be like super hard and the middle to be soupy, because what you're going to want to do is eventually take out a cookie sheet, put wax paper over it, and kind of scoop nuggets of this like partially solidified fat bomb onto it, which will then go in the freezer or the refrigerator, and then it will harden all the way. So put it in wherever you're going, 5 minutes, take it out, stir it, stir it, stir it. In for 5 minutes, stir it, stir it, stir it. It's getting thicker. In for 5 minutes, stir it, stir it. At that point, 3 rounds of this is going to be plenty to start dishing out onto the cookie sheet. So that's that. I'll show you guys some that I have made. This is kind of what we're working with. They're going to come out. They're like little nuggets, right? And they're hard because they're in the freezer or the refrigerator. And you just kind of put it in your mouth, let it melt, and it tastes phenomenal. So one little different thing you can do here is you can actually make cinnamon bombs too. Now, they are equally as good. I would recommend, so this is cassia cinnamon, C-A-S-S-I-A. This is the type of cinnamon that dominates the market. It's the cheapest kind, or you can use, let's see if I have it here. Yes, I do. Or you can use Ceylon cinnamon, which I don't really know why I brought that out to show you guys, because you're not going to be able to smell the difference, but this is considered true cinnamon. This is called Chinese or Saigon cinnamon. So anyway, this dominates the market, right? 99% chance that if you have cinnamon in your house, it's this stuff, not this stuff. This is a little more expensive. It smells and tastes a little sweeter. It's true cinnamon. The reason why I mention this is because if you're going to make cinnamon bombs, I really recommend the Ceylon, and it has nothing to do with taste. It has to do with a compound called coumarin. So all cinnamons have coumarin in it, and coumarin is a basically anticoagulant, so it's going to make your blood thinner. The issue with coumarin, which is in a much higher concentration in Chinese Saigon regular old cinnamon, is that it has the potential to cause some liver damage if you have a great enough intake. So if you're making a bunch of cinnamon bombs and you're eating a lot of cinnamon, you should really go with the Ceylon true cinnamon, because it is much, much, much lower in coumarin. And if you're getting that, mega intake of cinnamon from cinnamon bombs, you want to make sure you're not getting a mega intake of coumarin. So all in all, that's how you make fat bombs, whether it be chocolate or cinnamon. Same protocol. So get after it. Let me know if you guys like this recipe, if you want me to do more stuff like this, and I definitely will. So thanks for tuning in.